All right, let me get this up here. There we go. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at the Helping Parents Heal meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose children have passed away. It is understood our discussions are intended to be confidential and are not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. And with that, I'll turn it over to Elizabeth.
Let me unmute myself first. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see all of your smiling faces, and I truly appreciate it. I'm sorry if my phone is making noise beside me, but let me mute it very quickly. But I feel very grateful that we're going to have Craig McMahon on this Zoom meeting today. He's extremely talented. He is the producer of the 3 documentaries, Life to Afterlife. The first one, Mom, Can You Hear Me? The second one, I Died, What Next? And then the third one, Tragedy by Design. And some of you have seen all 3 of them. Some of you have seen 1 or 2 of them. I also feel very grateful to have the parents who participated in the filming of Life to Afterlife, the first one, Mom, Can You Hear Me? And here today, and they're here to answer your questions. Craig is here to answer your questions as well. But the first thing that we're going to do to get started is to just have Craig introduce himself and then tell a little bit about the inspiration for this Life to Afterlife series. I just want to let all of you know that he is a shining light sibling. He's had 2 brothers pass, his only 2 siblings pass. And so that was the main inspiration, but I'd love for him to tell you more about his wanting to do this series. But
okay,
Brian,
unmuted.
can you unmute? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth said it right. I lost 1 brother to a car accident, another to a suicide, and then my both parents passed as well. But my 2 brothers passed transition before my parents did. So it was an odd dichotomy in the house, losing, a big part of the family. I was a pretty spiritual kid growing up, and I meditated quite a bit, and I was doing a lot of meditation, and I got a voice that said, "Why are you so concerned about the afterworld? You're going to be there very shortly." And I thought I was going to die. So for about a decade, I kind of figured I'm not going to die. But I look back 30 years later, it meant that it's really fast. The life is really but a clap of thunder. So I wanted to get back into it, later in my life, and it seems okay. Spirit's working with me once again. My team is all on board with it. I met up with Mark Ireland, and I talked to him, and he told me what great things he was doing. He Elizabeth invited me over to one of the meetings, and I wasn't sure how to make a documentary on such a subject, but she said, "No, Craig, there's veterans." And I didn't quite understand what that meant, but then I met these wonderful people, and I said, okay, there's a documentary. It's how these wonderful people have experienced joy. Let's start out with happiness for the first time, getting over any type of grief, anger, and what was a surprise was that they, a good majority of them were communicating with their kids. And I think there is a strong bond between a parent and a child. I think there's an urgency that these people, the two parties, need to really connect, because it's just out of place. It's just not supposed to happen that way. So there's a little bit of connection, which I think also helps. But what I found was really helping with the parents that were making the most connections were the ones that were able to experience joy once again, come to terms with their grief, their anger. And they were getting a lot of, connections, whether it would be synchronicities, beyond that, actual apparitions of seeing their kids. So it's just a really, like when I was filming it, the kids were all around me. I've had some interactions with Kim's boy, Leanne's boy. Very, very great kids. They, I put a prerequisite out to my spirit team. I said, look, there's a lot of shows out there, a lot of paranormal shows. They focus on demons, exorcism, haunted house. I said, I want to get into the light side, and so I made a statement to my team. I said, look, give me truth. And I want, like Suzanne Wilson always says, I want it to be helpful, hopeful, and healing. So they're guiding me. I mean, literally, I didn't even know what questions to ask these parents, but I just got in front of my computer and it wrote itself. And these were the kids. They were asking me the questions, and they were spot on, I think, with asking very good questions. So here we are. So I finished the fourth episode. That was with Suzanne Wilson and some of the students. Lori Savoy is in that group. Students just wanting to learn how to develop their psychic or mediumship and what they're going through to open up their abilities. Either it's just beyond a gut feeling or an intuition, but more so into an intuitiveness, clairvoyance. But a lot of them are doing some wonderful things. So that one should be, there is a bit of a problem over at Amazon over in Seattle. They're very slow to get things up and running. So if anybody's interested in looking at the new one, it's on my Vimeo. And I'll take it back to either Brian or Elizabeth.
Well, if Brian wants to jump on, that's great. But what I really wanted to do, first of all, is to thank you for having the inspiration to do this series. And I know this fourth one is going to be amazing, and we're all excited about that. But what I'd like to do now is just to go through the people who are here with us. And I know that Jeff Olson might be a little bit pressed for time. So maybe if we could start with Jeff, and he could just tell us a little bit about doing this documentary and what it meant to him, and maybe just a little bit about his own journey. I know a lot of parents have asked me about Jeff, and he's an incredible public speaker. So, hi, Jeff. So go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I really appreciated being a part of the documentary. I mean, number one, I love rubbing shoulders with others who know the journey of having a child pass. And as we always say, they're never lost, they're never gone. And I think the interesting thing for me, and it came up in the documentary, is even though Griffin, my son, passed when he was a toddler, gosh, his energy is with me, and he is my most magnificent guardian angel. I've even had dreams where he's come to me, and I say dreams, I ought to just say visions. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm asleep. It's in those strange, lucid, hours that anyway, he's come, and I've encountered him as a grown young man, even though he was just a toddler when he passed. And that was different than my experience right near the accident, where I did visit the other side and saw him as a toddler, but now he comes to me as a grown man, a young man. So it's beautiful. So I love being on the documentary, and Craig just did ask beautiful questions, which probably caused us all to contemplate a little bit. And then listening to the other parents and their experiences. That's always very useful to me. It's like, gosh, you know, we're not alone. We're in this together. Each of our experiences are going to be completely different, but I believe the emotions that we experience because of the path we're on are universal. You know, I mean, we all know the grief, the loss, the love, and yet just knowing that we're not alone in it is one of the most powerful things for me. And I'll turn it back over to whoever wants to speak next. But I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna be on for a while because I want to hear what everyone has to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And I'll tell you, we've had a lot of people asking questions about your own experience, because you not only had this experience of having a child pass, having Griffin pass, and your wife pass, but you also had a near-death experience and have had amazing things happen in your life ever since. And you're also a shaman, and you go around the country and the world actually helping other people heal now, which is just amazing. And you have so many wonderful books as well. So, anyway, we'll open it up to questions after. I know that Mark Ireland is also kind of pressed for time, if I remember correctly. So maybe we could go to Mark next. Is that okay, Mark? Are you there?
I'm here. How are you today, Elizabeth? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I just muted myself. I'm great. Thanks. Go ahead, though. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of the folks on here probably are familiar with my story, you know, if they read Soul Shift or Messages from the Afterlife or heard any of my other talks. I've been a guest on the online group before, too. So I don't know that there's a lot new for me to share with those, but for those who haven't heard, you know, my youngest son, Brandon, transitioned back in 2004. Similar to Elizabeth, her son, Brandon was on a mountain, although it was a much smaller mountain. It was in the McDowell Mountains in Scottsdale, hiking with some friends. And we actually didn't know the cause of death for about a week, but it turned out to be a severe asthma attack that caused cardiac arrest. And I would just within days afterward, we had signs and confirmation of his well-being. I think the first thing that happened was I wanted to get some sort of personal confirmation myself. I sat quietly in a darkened area and meditated, and I saw in my mind's eye his face go by smiling like he was happy. And then right after that, I saw a cross with an oval loop on the top. And I'd seen those, but I didn't know what they were. So after I was done, I had to Google it and found out that it's called an Ankh. It's an Egyptian cross. It's the oldest cross of humanity. I think it's something like 5,000 years old, but it symbolizes the lower portion, physical life, and the oval loop, eternal life. So me having a somewhat analytical mind, I had to go find out what the meaning of that was. So essentially it gave me a coded message that Brandon was happy and he's now in eternal life and always was. It was just, this was a phase of the fullness of our entire existence. I also mention in my book that my uncle was much like my father. My father was a famous psychic medium, Dr. Richard Ireland. And so growing up, I saw a lot of these abilities manifest and him give messages to people, highly specific first and last names and all kinds of details. So I knew then that, you know, there's more than just this physical life. So it's a luxury I had that a lot of you didn't have. And you later discovered, some of you have gone to a medium and discovered, hey, there is something to this, but I had that knowledge growing up. But at the time Brandon passed, my dad was already gone. So, but I did have an uncle in Tucson who had similar abilities. And within a couple of days, I spoke to him and he conveyed to me that my father had come to visit him in spirit and shared that he was there for Brandon at the time Brandon transitioned, that he helped him adjust, and that Brandon was at first a little surprised, but my dad was there to help him. And that we were the best parents he ever could have had, which you'd want to hear that. But along with that, he gave us the validation before the autopsy was done that Brandon's death was caused by a lack of oxygen in his bloodstream that caused his heart to fail. And that's the feedback I got from the physician who did the autopsy a few days later. My wife has had a number of experiences, actually seeing Brandon to her side out of her peripheral vision and felt his presence. The next day, without knowing that, a friend gave the exact same account and knew it was Brandon. So that was pretty intriguing. There's a lot more to that story too, but I won't share it here because it would take too long. I've had a number of dream visits with Brandon. One though was, I've had just one that was incredibly vivid, like waking reality. And I'll never forget that. That one was enough to last me a lifetime. And at this stage, we don't feel a constant need for that, but we do. I think of him every day, and there's times when I am able to feel him come to me and just feel that energy flow through me and know that I'm connected and I'm touched in a very special way. And obviously I've been to a number of mediums. I'm friends with a lot of top mediums, and I've been doing the medium certification program myself. So I actually test them under controlled conditions. So any of the ones that are on the provider list for helping parents heal, to get added, they have to go through my program and pass. So they have to generate statistically significant results and that are graded by the sitters who they're reading for blind. They don't know who they're reading for other than the first name, and they can't see them because it's usually done Skype or Zoom without video. So sometimes I get, my medium friends will give me messages without even asking for them, which is kind of nice. And I think that's, you know, a quick synopsis of my background and some of the experiences we had. But we're in a good place, and we have been for quite a while. I think part of that was just being around people that were so supportive, great friends and family. And then, you know, having these experiences and knowing there's more, and just having that contact can be so meaningful. Next.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, I think that it's obvious that both you and Jeff are veterans, as Craig said. I said shining light parents. I didn't say veterans, but I like that word as well. And I know that Irene, who is our vice president and the chair of the conference, is going to have to get off in a little bit. So I would like to have you speak next, if that's possible, Irene.
Sure.
And just before we talk to Irene, I just want to plug Mark's book, Soul Shift: Finding Where the Dead Go, which is actually the book. It's one of the first books that I read. It's not the first book, but it was one of the ones that I read at the very beginning. That's very meaningful. So anyway, Irene, could you tell us about how this documentary impacted you?
Yes, and actually Mark's book is how I found Helping Parents Heal. I read the book and reached out to Mark after, and you know, the rest is history. Oh gosh, it was such an honor to be part of the documentary. It was just fabulous. And I actually flew to Arizona the day before I was to speak with Craig, and it was Carly's angel date. And I had a little trepidation about flying on that date, but it turned out it was a great day to fly. And my daughter just got the biggest thrill out of flying first class. And I had gotten to the airport here in Savannah, and I wasn't thrilled about, I don't know, I was like in row 33 and I had a middle seat, and I was called up and upgraded to first class. I have no idea why, but I guess my daughter had something to do with that for her angel date. You know, it's not just being part of the documentary, it's being a part of Helping Parents Heal and being with everyone that was interviewed for the documentary. I mean, for myself, I went from a place of just total despair where I did not want to live. I didn't think I could, to now, you know, I find joy on a daily basis. I love my life. I am just so filled with gratitude. You know, I went from having what I call this very small life to, you know, a life now just filled with so much. And, you know, we talk about shifts in our journey. And I think for me, once I realized that death meant the loss of one's physical body only, that, you know, there is no death, and that I was still a mother, and I'm just the mother of a child who resides in spirit. She no longer walks this earth. And Carly shows me on a daily basis that she's present, that she's still right here. Being with everyone at the filming of the documentary when we were all together. I mean, that's one of my happiest memories in a very long time. It's just great. I love everyone that's a member of Helping Parents Heal. You know, you're my family. I know almost everybody that's a part of this meeting, and I'm just honored and grateful to be a part of it. And Craig, you did such a fabulous job on the documentary. It has helped so many people. I can't tell you how many people have reached out and how many people have found Helping Parents Heal because of the documentary. So just thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. Okay, back to you, Elizabeth.
So thank you, Irene. That was wonderful. And I'll tell you, it's true that it was wonderful to be with the people on the documentary, but I agree with you that I love everyone in this group so much. Everyone in Helping Parents Heal is like family. And I feel very, very grateful to have had this outlet to be able to allow people to see a little bit about the types of people who are members of Helping Parents Heal. All of these parents are just so wonderful. One of them is Kim Courtney, and I wanted to ask her to speak next. She's got a nonprofit, which is called the Healing Cross Project. She was going to be bringing crosses for everyone at the conference. We're postponing it, so she'll be able to do it when we have it. She also does a lot of other incredible work in terms of thunder showers, showering the homeless here in Arizona, and doing benefits for the Healing Cross Project. So I'll let Kim just talk a little bit more about herself, if possible. You need to be unmuted though, Kim. I'm not sure if Brian can do that for you. I can't from here though, because I don't have any controls on it. It's down at the right, let's see, left-hand corner.
There we go. I think she's in
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. I am Kim, and my son is Derek, and he's been in heaven for almost 3 years on April 25th. The greatest thing that has come from him leaving his physical body is I got to meet all of you, and the girls and the dads that I've come to know, they are part of my family and will always be my family. This group of people literally saved my life. But beyond that, my life has, although I thought it was pretty great the last time when we did the documentary with Craig in January, my life has so evolved beyond what I never would have expected. I started a nonprofit called the Healing Cross Project. Derek came to me and told me it's something I need to do. He named it, told me who was going to be helping me, and I'm going to show you the cross that came as a result of that. You can go on our website, which is the healingcrossproject.com, request it. So I won't take much time to tell you about this cross, but this represents my son to me, and that we spread the word that you are never alone in this journey called life. And he was very ill for a long time and felt very isolated from that. And as we progressed with the nonprofit, he came to me again and let me know that I needed to shower the homeless, which was way out of my realm. I have a swim school. I'm very busy. It's not like I'm sitting around having idle time. But another Shining Light parent, Lisa Wilcoxon, and I don't know if she's here listening, but she came up to me one day when a group of us were together and said, I can tell you why you are showering the homeless, because when you're washing their feet, you're washing the feet of Jesus Christ. And every time I've gone to shower, the hundreds and hundreds, now thousands of people, I think of that. that Jesus, whether you believe or not, suffered for all of us. And now this is an opportunity for me to help the people that are suffering in this world. I can tell you that I think of my son every day. I love him more now than I did the day he left. He is still a part of my life. But I remember saying to sweet Elizabeth, and Michelle was on the day that I met Elizabeth, and I met them for lunch, and I said, I want to have whatever you're having. I want to be able to feel like a human again. I want to get out of bed. I want to be able to eat again. When am I ever going to want to put on makeup? When am I going to care about someone other than my son who had passed away? And they guaranteed me and promised me it would happen. And it did happen. I have joy every day of my life. I am happy, and I'm happy because I know my son is here with me. The nonprofit that we started is exploding, and we've sent crosses to people all over the world. Our event, which I am not canceling, is in the end of April, and every year we have a recipient that's gone through devastating loss. And this year it's 2 firefighters that lost their lives to cancer related to on the job. And it's another way that I can take the loss of my son in the physical body and honor him with his legacy and pass on the goodness that I feel, and that I hope that everybody in this group would continue to find hope and love and joy.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Kim. You are truly an inspiration. And I just appreciate so much everything that you do for all of these people. And
Absolutely.
moving on from Kim, I would like to go to Leanne, who also has a nonprofit for her son. And she's also just written an incredible book, which is How to Live When You Want to Die. And she's spoken to the group several times in the past. She was going to be speaking at the conference as well. But I'd love for Leanne to tell a little bit about how the documentary has impacted her. And I don't know if you know how to unmute yourself, but you're muted.
Hi. So I'm so glad to be here. And, you know, it's truly a miracle what has happened to my life, and I think to all of our lives, to have this gift, to have been able to experience this. You know, I came from a background, my son, for those of you that don't know, he transitioned by suicide, and it's been 7 years for us. He was 16 years old, and he truly was the sunshine, the light of our lives. And I came from a position of faith. I was a faith-based woman, but my faith was based in fear, which is so, and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it at that point in time. And so what I am now is my faith is free, and it's filled with hope and joy, as I think faith should be. And so I saw my first medium within the first 40 days after Andy moved. I saw Suzanne Wilson, and she just, I didn't tell anybody, of course, because I would have, I thought, gone to hell. So I certainly didn't tell anybody I was going to go see a medium. But I knew that I needed to know more than what I had read or learned about in church. That while I believed that my son was in heaven, that wasn't enough for me. I really needed to know more. And it didn't matter what the cost was. I wanted answers, and I was going to find them. And Mark Ireland's book was one of the first ones that I read as well. I read 80 books that first year after Andy passed because I wanted more information. I just wanted to learn about everything that he's doing, what's Andy doing, what's he up to, what's life like. And I'm so thrilled and warmed with the thought that he's with all of your kids. You know, it's so interesting to think about this band of kids that has brought us all together. But anyway, when I went to see Suzanne, and one of the last things that that Andy said to me through her was, my mom's tough as nails. She's going to be fine. And so I knew then, I didn't know how, but I knew that I was going to get up every day to try to honor that and to prove him right, that I wanted his words to ring true and to make a difference in the world. So I started a nonprofit foundation as well. Well, Suzanne first directed me to Helping Parents Heal also. So she led me to Elizabeth and Helping Parents Heal, thank God, because this group of people, all of you have saved my life as well, you know, and the friendship with Elizabeth and the depth, the warmth. I truly have never had relationships like I have here. It's a really strange thing to look back at your life, and when you think that you had a good life and that everything was awesome, and then after an experience, a tragedy, that you could even utter the words that my life is better. That's really strange. It's kind of disconcerting even to still say now, but I can honestly say that I feel blessed with everything that's happened in my life. And so the nonprofit foundation is Andy Hull's Sunshine Foundation. And we, like him, we try to make a difference in other people's lives, to let them know that they matter, that you have a purpose here on the planet. And that's one of the things that I think that Craig is doing with this documentary, is he's reaching all of these people. You know, we have a platform now for our voices, for the things that we're doing, the experiences that our kids have taught us and are bringing us through. He's now opened this door up to so many other people that are sitting there alone or isolated after an experience or a loss in their life, and they don't have what we all have. And so I'm so thankful to be a part of this and to share this. And for everybody that's in this documentary, it's a tremendous transition from who we were to who we are now. What an amazing story that is, that we can all tell. And my husband's on here. He joined the meeting. He's probably incognito. So, but he messaged me, and he's hiding somewhere. But I'm so thankful that I'm able to take this journey with him.
Oh, me too. And that was beautiful, Leanne. Thank you. And again, her book is How to Live When You Want to Die. Incredible book. And moving on from Leanne, I'd like to have Lynn and Jeff speak. They're here. Looks like they're in San Francisco, but they're actually here in Scottsdale. And they were part of the documentary as well. And I know a lot of people have asked about them because their experience was particularly significant, I think, in terms of the passing, the way that their son passed. But anyway, this is so funny because I'm getting seasick looking at you guys. Sorry.
Yeah. We're on the cable car right now.
That's okay. It's no problem. Yes.
Apparently she
anyway,
always needs to be the center of attention and in the center of the screen.
Anyway, I'm so glad you're both here. So go ahead and just let us know how this documentary has impacted you guys.
Well, I would say primarily, and again, I think, you know, people are going to maybe get a little tired of hearing the same thing, but the documentary impacted us, and it continued to bond us together with this amazing group. I think first and foremost, being part of Helping Parents Heal has been the primary reason for us graduating, if you will, to this point in our lives. We have an incredibly rich life filled with friends, and we were fortunate. We were fortunate that we kind of lived at the epicenter of the forming of Helping Parents Heal. We actually met Mark before we read the book.
Yeah, we met Mark and Susie Ireland very early on, and they saved our life, and then they introduced us to Elizabeth and the others, and it's been an incredible journey for us. And like the others, our life is richer now. We thought we had a great life, and we did, but it doesn't compare to our life now. And
I think Irene
thank
said
our
it best
kids.
when she said something about her small life. And, you know, we thought our small life was pretty good, but the big life is much better. But a story to Craig, because this is kind of fun, because I think as a group, we think about how we can help other parents who have lost kids. But you need to know that it goes deeper than that. I have a friend from work who, for some reason, just kind of grabbed onto our story. She had some time in town. She wanted to hear more about our story. So she and I went out. I think Lynn went to the theater with her mom. So we had a 4-hour dinner, and I kind of told her the story. And she was fascinated with that. And Lynn and I were, again, kind of fortunate to be part of the book Still Right Here. So I turned her on to that book, and she read that. And then she was already on a little bit of a spiritual journey, but because of now this connection with Helping Parents Heal, she found herself wandering through the playlist of Amazon one night, and she found Craig's first video. And she's watching that, and I knew that because she actually took a screenshot of Lynn and I on camera with Craig and said, "I was watching TV tonight, and guess who I found?" But her comment, and I knew something was up with her, but I didn't know what. But at the time she read this or watched the video and read the book, she was going through a pretty painful breakup with a longtime boyfriend. And she after watching the video, she said, you know, looking at how all of these people have gone through this unimaginable tragedy and have come out not only surviving but thriving on the other end, it's like, why should I be so upset about, you know, breaking up with the guy who clearly didn't like me as much as I liked him? And I thought that was a real testimony to the message that we project as parents, that it's a universal benefit to the life that we're leading, makes us better people, but it also makes our community stronger and better as a result. So suffice to say, we're honored to be part of Helping Parents Heal, and truly honored to have been part of this journey that led to this series of videos, and we can't thank Craig enough.
Well,
I
thank you.
concur.
And I neglected to say that you guys, you're both caring listeners, and you also have this Helping Parents Heal Scottsdale Book Club. You've had some amazing authors speak there. Maybe Lynn, you could talk about the authors that you've had to speak, and then Leanne will be taking over in May. She'll be having a meeting at her home, and you guys will be sharing it from then on.
Right.
But anyway,
Well,
go ahead, Lynn. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we've been very fortunate with our authors. You know, we started out with Suzanne Giesman, who everybody knows and loves. And then we had Mark Ireland, and we had Leanne at our last one. And we had a local author, and I'm blanking her name, Nancy. What's her name?
Lucille.
Oh, Lucille.
Masco.
Yeah, and everybody was going to get a copy of her book at the conference, but they'll be waiting for us when we arrive.
Irene, thanks for storing those for us.
Yeah,
We really
thanks for
appreciate
getting that
it.
at our garage. Yeah, it's a great group, and I know we're going to run out of authors, but there's fabulous books out there that we can read and discuss. So we have a good future ahead of us, and thank you to Leanne, who's going to be my partner, and look forward to the next meeting at her house.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. We're going to try to get through everyone as quickly as we can, because then maybe we can have time for some questions. But I was thinking that maybe Carol could speak next. She is our Cave Creek affiliate leader, and her meetings have grown to meetings that actually should be held at Unity because they're so enormous. And everyone leaves feeling happier when they go to her house. She and Tony, her husband, have such an incredible way of making people feel welcome and of making them feel better before they leave. So anyway, Carol, would you like to say something now? Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, it was such a privilege to be part of the documentary. I absolutely loved it. And the crazy part is when Craig said he felt like the kids basically told him the questions to ask, I never even got those questions. I went there not even knowing what to expect. I get so many emails. So when I got there and he started asking me questions, everything just started flowing. And he was so surprised when I said I didn't get any of those questions. So I think it was definitely the kids, and especially my son Tyler, who was answering all the questions for me because I wasn't nervous, and it was really cool. But my son is Tyler. He was 19 when he passed away on his motorcycle in a motorcycle accident. And that was 4.5, almost 5 years ago. And when he did pass, like Irene said, I did not think I would survive. And now I met Elizabeth. I always call her my earth angel. She saved my life. My life, which I thought after Tyler passed away that I didn't have a life. I mean, I have a husband, I have another child, but as we all know, it doesn't, the grief consumes anything good. And all of a sudden I felt like I had no purpose anymore. I had no life. I felt like I was stuck here. Instead of seeing everything as a blessing, I thought, well, now because I can't be selfish, I'm kind of stuck here. And all I can say is now I feel so fulfilled and so happy, and I'm present in every moment. And even though my life was great before, I was afraid. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of dying. Because I did not. This has opened a whole new world for me. I didn't believe in anything, and I wanted to. I grew up going to Catholic schools, but just something in my human brain was blocked, and it's like I've been cracked wide open. And so I enjoy the smell of coffee in the morning. I enjoy everything about living, and I'm also going to enjoy when I know that my time here on earth is done. But again, I just thank you so much, Craig, for the documentary. I loved it. It was, it's been a blessing for so many. And I am so grateful to have my meetings at my home. And I'm so grateful for all of you that attend. And my purpose now is to move forward helping anyone I can, because ultimately, not only do I enjoy helping others, but it helps myself as well as my husband. So thank you.
And you do so much to help others, Carol. And I just feel so grateful that you hold those meetings, because our meetings at Unity got to be so big that it wasn't possible to ever have anybody speak. There wouldn't have been time. And now having these meetings in Cave Creek, as well as the ones that Ernie and Christine are holding, they said there would be too many people from the documentary on today, so they're not on, but they have their own group meetings in Peoria now, which is wonderful. But we do have, for being here, we have Michelle Ziff right above you on my screen. So if Michelle is ready to speak, I would love to have her speak next. Are you there? Do you know how to unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. So I am so honored that I was included in this documentary, because I know that I'm able to share things with other people that will get them to a better place and be able to find joy again in life, like we all have. It's been a process, but I agree that my life too is in so many ways, it's so much better now than it was before, because of all the positive things that have come from this, and the people and opportunities that have been presented because of my journey, and Garrett is always helping me, always, with each new step that I take and whatever else I take on. And yes, this helping parents heal is absolutely my second family. We're just all so lucky to have each other, and to be able to bring people. I had person who I knew about this group, and it was amazing because I was able to come to my first meeting 11 days after Garrett passed, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me at that time. It's just been so, I don't know, it's everything about it is just all about helping each other and letting people know that it's not the end of anything. It's more of the beginning of a huge world out there that if this wouldn't have happened, that so many of us would never even know anything about. And I'm just, again, I'm just very honored to be a part of all of it. So, Elizabeth, you're incredible. You, every single day on top of everything else you do, posting and remembering all of our kids, all of us on days when we need it. And, and for Carol, having your meetings at your house, and just, it's all about giving back and helping and making our kids proud of us. So.
Well, and Michelle is the great connector in our group. She brings lots of wonderful parents to our group, and Kim Courtney was one of them. And I feel so grateful that she is able to do that, and that we'll follow her advice and come and are able to get help, which is wonderful. So we have two other parents on here who are huge parts of helping parents heal as well. First, Linda McCarthy is the head of our Caring Listeners, and she's on here from Anthem, and she was part of the documentary, and I'd love to have you speak next if possible. Linda, are you on? You're unmuted already. So
yes,
welcome.
I took your advice. Thank you. You'll have to excuse me, I have a little bit of a sore throat, so I'm drinking as we speak here. But first I want to just tell Craig, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for asking me to be a part of it. It truly has been life-changing for me. And the series has been incredible. Just watching it and rewatching it, it's helped me a lot in my growth. My son, Sean, it'll be 6 years in June. He was Navy Special Forces, and he was shot and killed. And just like all the other parents, I not only wasn't sure I would survive it, I wasn't sure that I wanted to. And I met, nothing is by chance, but I met this amazing astrologer named Maxine Taylor. And she said to me, have you heard of this Afterlife conference that's going to be in your area? I had not heard of it. I attended, and that's where I got the biggest hug from Elizabeth. And she told me about helping parents heal, and the rest is history as far as that goes. I'm very, very blessed to know you and to be part of this amazing organization. I studied Afterlife for over a decade before Sean passed. I didn't know why. And even he thought I was crazy. So he was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you studying this? But it did save my life. And I think my soul knew what I needed to survive. I met with a medium, Michelle Beltrain, actually 2 weeks after Sean passed. And she told me messages that there's no way anybody would have known. Even told me that my daughter was moving in with her boyfriend, which I told her she was wrong. And then the next phone call I made was to my daughter, who said, how did you know that? We just talked about that last night. So that set me on another journey of being able to communicate with Sean. He came through actually a couple of days after he passed with a visitation, and then also with a huge white feather that was in my luggage when I arrived in Virginia Beach to bring him home. And I won't go into all the details. I will just say that I am incredibly grateful, thankful. I faced my greatest fear, which is the transition of one of my children, and it has really given me the ability to live life to the fullest now, and live it with joy. I always looked for happiness, and it always seemed to be elusive. There was always something that stood in the way, and now I live my life in joy. And and it's wonderful. Elizabeth, you will be happy to know that my book is finally finished. It's ready to go. I know it's been a long journey, and Craig was part of that.
Yay!
Yeah, he doing the documentary really was kind of a catalyst to get me going, and then there were some speed bumps in the road. But thank you for contributing and for being one of my greatest cheerleaders with that. I really appreciate it. So. For the Helping Parents Heal parents, caring listeners, please take advantage of it. Please give us a call. We're all here for you. I've had so many parents say to me that they thought that there was a fee involved, or that they didn't want to call us because they didn't want to bother us. Call us, because we're just ahead of you on this journey. We're just a few steps ahead of you, but we understand, and we're there to do whatever we can to make this a little easier. So I will turn it back to you, but thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And I can't wait to read your book. And this is so exciting that it's come out, and congratulations. And we also have Lori Savoy on here. Lori is an amazing Shining Light parent. Not only is she a Shining Light parent, she's also become psychic as a result of this journey. And she also performs Reiki, and she does so in an incredible way. If anybody read the last newsletter, there were 2 validation stories that were written by parents who had had Reiki with Lori, but it's not just Reiki, it's Reiki and messages. But this has all kind of come about as a result of her son Garrett's passing, and I feel very, very honored to share the exact same day and year birthday as Lori. So we're born the same day, same astrological sign and everything anyway. But Lori, could you just say a little bit about the documentary to everyone?
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Savoy, and yes, I am Elizabeth's twin. I have about 1 foot shorter than her, so she must have got all the height in the womb. But that was a weird story of how we pulled out our driver's license at coffee, like whoever does that. So it was definitely from the other side. So Craig, thank you for the documentary. Elizabeth, thank you for including me. I have told everybody and anybody about it. I think the documentary series is amazing for people for grief of any kind, because so much is answered. So Craig, the way he is just so relatable. So I actually just shared it last week with somebody whose good friend and husband passed away, because it helps everybody. So I think probably my whole life I've been a helping type of person. I heard about Helping Parents Heal right from almost the very beginning, and jumped in with trepidation. Son Garrett took his life in November 2010. No notice, no signs, no depression, no note. So really, I don't really know why, but at this point it's not important. He showed up right away in our family. There was signs everywhere, and double rainbow at his service. The other day, my 2 girls are at home right now, and my husband wanted to take a picture of all of us, and he said, oh, my girls are together, and the next thing we look out, there's this giant double rainbow, which I'm going to show a picture of. Hopefully I can get it on there. And that happened like 5 minutes later. So there's my son saying, hey, don't forget me, I'm right here too. So amazing. When I was doing the documentary, Craig said something to me. He said, you can hear him and see him, can't you? I said, yeah, I can. I haven't really made that a fact to tell people, although when I have signs from people's kids or whatever, I share it. If it's appropriate, always in the name of helpful, hopeful, and healing, as Suzanne Wilson says, and I love that saying. I think everybody who's involved in helping parents heal, that's just who we are. We're helpful, hopeful, and healing people. I had a bit of a weird journey because I've always been spiritual and soul knew. I knew the day before. I've been pretty spiritual and in knowing things. I knew the night before, and I was getting prepared for it. I did not go into really deep, dark grief because my son was there right from the very beginning. The signs were there, and what a gift. As my oldest daughter said, it changed the way we had grief because he was here but not here, as everybody gets it. So for me, being part of Helping Parents Heal and part of the documentary, people will look at me and say, we can't even believe that you went through the worst thing and you're positive, have a good attitude, always smiling. And part of it is because of being in Helping Parents Heal is like my second family. I call them that, my second family. That's just who it is. Now, Craig is in our family. Craig is gonna educate the world on spirituality, much bigger than all of us, and it's amazing. Michelle Ziff and I are in another group, and we're trying to help those people all the time because they just don't have the support that we do from Helping Parents Heal, and a lot of them get stuck. So it's the loss of, it's not just children, it's a loss. So we try and help, but now the documentaries from Craig, they're perfect to help the world because I tell everybody about them. They can see it, they can watch it on their own time, at their own progress. Like Linda said, you can watch it time and time again. And I mean, we're all here to help people heal. One other thing I wanted to say is that I don't promote myself too much, but I almost ran over my son in spirit as he was telling me he was all ready for this book. And I'm not a writer or anything. Long story short, this book came out to help the world. It's called The Ripple Effect, Invisible Impact of Suicide. I don't promote it a lot. The thing gets all organically all around the world. I hear from people all over that it's helping, and every penny that I make on the book, I buy more books to donate because to me, I just want to help. It's in schools, it's in libraries. And that came from being in a really good place, from being a part of Helping Parents Heal. So if I can help anybody, anytime in the world, I'm all about that. So Craig, thank you for gathering us all together. I'm here to let everybody know you can survive and thrive, and with this family of joyous people, we're all here for everybody.
Thank you, Lori. My goodness. And what I want to say that Lori also delivers messages to our group. So that's always exciting when we're meeting at Carol's house, for instance, and she sees kids and she tells people about it, as well as Lisa Wilcoxon, who's on here as well, who does the same thing at our meetings. And I feel so grateful to both of them. But before we get too much farther, I wanted to see if there were any questions for Craig or for any of the parents here, because I would love to be able to have people get questions answered based on not just the first documentary, but the other ones as well. Maybe some of the information that you heard in the documentaries. And I don't know if there are a lot of people just saying nice things on the side, but I don't know if there are any questions. Have you seen any, Brian?
No, I haven't seen any questions. I do want to tell everybody that Craig's films are available through Amazon Prime and also on his Vimeo channel. And I put a link to that in the chat. So the fourth one is not available on Prime yet, but it is available on his Vimeo channel. You can rent it or buy it there. So I'll put the link in again.
Thank you. So does anybody have any, let's see, I can't access, oh, okay, there's the link. Does anybody have any questions? Maybe you could just raise your hand instead of writing them down. That might be easier.
Elizabeth, this is Jeff. Can you hear me, Elizabeth? This is Jeff. Hello.
Yeah, we hear you, Jeff.
Oh, good.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey,
Yes.
I just wanted to, I spoke earlier. I wanted to tell Craig, thank you for doing this. Thank you for putting yourself out there and making the films, and for creating something that we all have in common, and putting it out there for people. And also just how much we love each and every one of you. Tanya's in the house here with the family. And anyway, you've become dear friends to us. And I didn't get a chance to really express that when I spoke earlier, but knowing, it's an interesting thing whenever you meet someone that has walked this journey, had a child pass. There's this instant connection. It's almost like our hearts know each other and our hearts love each other, even if we are barely meeting for the first time. But I just wanted to say thank you to Craig and to all of you. I mean, you've all shown up for us. I mean, Leanne and Lynn and Jeff and Elizabeth, certainly you, and gosh, Tony and Carol. I can't go on about how we really are family. It's crazy. And even when I'm a state away, I just feel so close to everybody when, when you're talking and sharing. And I'm on this end just thinking, oh gosh, it's so good to see everyone on the video. And Brian, thank you for putting this all together. I'm just sharing gratitude. I'm gushing over here, guys, because I love you all so much, and it's so good to see everybody. That's all. I'll let people ask questions, but I didn't want everyone to go or sign off without knowing how much we love you all and how much it means to call you friends. It really is a beautiful thing.
Well, we love you too, Jeff. That's for sure, and Tanya as well. And I see something written here. Brian, do you mind reading it? Maybe.
Sure, I can read it.
I'm not sure who it's directed to either.
Yeah, it's from iPhone, so I'm not sure it's from even. It says, although I understand that my son's recently transitioned, it's so hard for me. I feel like this is a lot of suffering that's happening in my life, among other circumstances. But I'm curious of having past life regression to try to understand why this passing of two sons back to back. I've watched all the TV documentaries. So I guess she's asking about having past life regressions to try to understand why it's happened. So does anyone have an opinion on that?
Craig, do you want to take that?
There it is. Sorry.
You just...
It wasn't unmuting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Craig.
Okay. I just had a conversation the other day with Isabella. I'm pretty sure you guys are all familiar with Isabella Johnson. And when I was doing the documentary series, I spoke with a lot of mediums, and I tried to understand how it all works. And a lot of the mediums pretty much said to me that the children come to us from the life they just had. And it gets really, really confusing if they come, dressed in the personalities of another life or another name. It just gets really, confusing. But after this fourth documentary, I've kind of come to the conclusion that, yeah, past life regressions are great. But there's a lot of answers within that you can just put it out there, either to your team or to your higher self. Ask these questions. I know someone going through this at the first stages of it is just, it's very difficult to see because of the grief causes a filter for the ethers, the anger, another filter, and these do tend to stack and really block the visions. And that's why a lot of you parents are communicating with your kids, because you've pulled away the anger, you've pulled away the grief. It's very difficult to say that. I know it takes sometimes years. I know Jeff had said it took him 10 years to get to that point of pulling away, but experiencing joy, forgiveness, these things raise our vibration. And I'm not really sure I know what the question was or if I even answered it. But
I think that what he was asking was just about past life regressions, if they're useful to healing, is probably, or he or she, I'm not sure. Anyway, but it sounds, what you were saying was very good, Craig. So So does anybody else have any opinions on that? Maybe Jeff Olson does, because you're such a veteran to this.
No, I just popped on, and gosh, my heart goes out to anyone. Back-to-back sons passing. I've done some past life regression, and Tanya, my wife, got me interested in that. I mean, here's what I can add, is that everything is in divine order, even when it feels like it's absolute chaos. I mean, it may be too fresh to even hear that and realize, but in past life regressions, I've had some insights, and I did everything I could. I mean, gosh, here I was the guy that had this beautiful, profound near-death experience where I literally got to say goodbye to my son. But I grieved, I suffered for a decade. I mean, it takes time. You must be patient with yourself. And I tried everything. I studied religions, I studied spirituality, I studied Reiki and matrix energetics, I did shamanism, I looked into past life regressions. I did anything looking for peace. And I would say, be open to what your heart feels. If you feel like a past life regression might give some clarity or at least some peace, then do it. And yet realize that and Elizabeth, you said it up front, and I think Craig did too, when we have children pass, there's this special connection. And we may not feel them, right by us all the time, but they're looking out for us. And you'll get these little nudges. I know Tammy Waterman's on the line too, and she, gosh, we became friends based on her son's prompting and my being open to those things. You'll have little inklings. Gosh, maybe I'll do a past life regression. Maybe I'll go to this meeting. Maybe I'll talk to this person. Maybe I'll sit quiet. Trust your instincts, trust your heart, because the journey is not easy, and that there'll be little keys. There'll be little inklings that'll come, and you'll say, oh my gosh, there's a piece of this big puzzle, and there's another piece over there. And I'm 22 years after the fact. I couldn't even speak of it without crying for a decade. And now in hindsight, I see how the little pieces, the little puzzles came together, and the little puzzles made a big puzzle. And now I can say in all the confidence in the world is the pieces fit, and they will fit for you. So hang in there, keep breathing, keep loving, keep being open, and realize you've got angels looking after you that will guide you. So if you feel in your heart, gosh, I'm going to try a past life regression, go do that and see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was beautiful. And I was wondering, since Lisa Wilcoxon is here, and since she does give such great validations to our group, and she was actually supposed to be part of this, but it was a little bit late in the game. Maybe you have some words to say about the documentary or about helping parents heal. Did you want to say something, Lisa?
Thank you, Elizabeth. First of all, I'd like to say to Anna, hi, Anna.
Hi.
Anna, it's interesting because there's another group on Facebook. It's that I found, now I know that I found it because Anna's son, her first son that crossed, brought me there. I knew nothing about this group, and through a post Tracy had made, I looked at it. It's called Parents Who Have Lost Their Sons. And Anna was posting. What about the afterlife? What about this? What about that? And that group is not about that. It's just, they just talk about losing their children. It's like there's no help, there's no resource, there's no nothing. And it hurts my heart to see all those people in that group. But I said, Anna, please also join this group. And so the name of that group, the woman that started it, her son's name is Michael Anthony. Now, anyone who knows me knows my children are Michael and Anthony. So there's a sign right there.
So Anna, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're on right now. I'm so glad. It brings me to tears. I'm just really so glad. Just stay right here, because it will come to you like it did to Lori, like it has to so very, very, very many of us. You will see. They are right here. What I'd like to say about the documentary, Craig, can I go ahead and share our text, the text between the two of us? I'm
not sure.
The little
Oh,
the reading.
Oh,
Ago.
Yeah, it's funny because that came, I'll explain, yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you referring to the, can you refresh my memory?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had seen a picture of Craig online, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of stuff flashed through my mind, and I texted him and asked him if he was open to a message. And he said, sure. So here's what I said to him. I said, thank you. I saw the lens of your camera turning on, activating a brilliant iridescent light. I heard, do you realize what you're doing? Then, corresponding to that small, brilliant light, an enormous light with identical rainbow iridescence turned on above, as in across the veil. Then I saw a fist with bracelets and a thick band hold out a fist bump to Craig, like give him a fist bump, and I heard the words 1-2 punch. You are creating a 1-2 punch through the darkness. But I'm sorry, this keeps going out. But you need to know adequately and see the impact of your work is actually changing the other side. It's turning up the light on the other side brilliantly, exponentially. This message was surprising to me because I thought once we crossed, we were already completely brilliant in our vibration. I've heard others say this, but sometimes I don't believe things till I'm shown. Anyway, 1-2 punch, I told him it would have other meaning for him, but it's a beautiful light he's creating. I said, obviously we can see that here, but the brilliance of it on the other side is almost blinding. I was to give Craig the word, halos in your lens. What I did not know was that Craig was here making the video of Diane, Suzanne Wilson, Lori Savoy, Susie Myers, all of my dear friends that I love so much. I did not know they were here. I did not know they were doing that. And those were the halos in his lens. All of these beautiful people that I love so much. It was just so cool. So it was neat for our kids to show that even the light on the other side is being turned up by what we do here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know,
Go
when
ahead,
I was,
Craig, sorry.
you know, when I got the message, it just made sense to me, but it didn't really hit me till later. That's the interesting thing, and you guys all can contest to this, that these messages might not mean something to us until a later date. And I did remember it because I was going through a period where I was really getting depressed, guys. You know, we got a lot of great reviews on the first one. And I know that that's a sacred place. I can't imagine anybody, but there were people that were rude, saying things like, your kids are dead, get over it. It was personal with me. And then the second one came out, and I called up Suzanne Wilson. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm really getting bothered by these negative, evil forces that are trying to undermine our message. And it really brought me down, guys. It really bothered me because I can't look at them. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's some negative responses that were, you know, brimstone. We're all going to burn in flames. And I am working for Mr. Satan, stuff like that. And it just, I guess it's an open forum. And because the second one became #1 for about 3 weeks out of 4,000 documentaries, it became the target for everyone. And Suzanne and I, Wilson, we talked about this, that a lot of these organizations hire people to troll. And I think Mark, if he's still there, he may understand what I'm talking about. But I think the importance here of what I'm trying to say is that we all have to support each other's books, each other's foundations, each other's products, whatever it may be, because there are forces out there that will stop what they're doing and try to stop us in our tracks. And I am here to tell you that we are not going to be stopped. I'm not going to be bothered anymore. I won't read that stuff anymore, but we all have to support each other. Unfortunately, I got banned from Amazon because I voted for one of my previous movies. So I am not voting for your guys' stuff, but it's important that we all support each other because we think it's just, we love it. It's great. We don't have to do anything. Go eat meatloaf and go on that trip. But there are forces out there that want to stop us in our tracks. And it's been explained to me that this is part of the whole process. So when your message came to me, I didn't quite get it until later. And like I said, guys, sometimes these messages, they don't resonate with you at the right time. Sometimes they resonate later. And I get it now, that we're raising the vibration on the other side. I think, you hit the nail right on the head. I know this is true. I felt it with the documentary with the kids. They were all around me. They were guiding me. They, like I said, I think Leanne might have left, but Andy changed the screensaver on my phone to his mom's foundation. Which is a sign to me that we all have to support each other's foundations, projects, books, whatever we're doing. Put your votes in wherever they need be. Let's be a force to be beckoned with. That's all I have to say.
Craig, that's beautifully said, and I agree 100%. It's hard, I think, because you are doing something that's kind of on the cutting edge by talking about these things. Obviously, the first documentary wasn't too controversial, and then certainly people aren't going to say terrible things about parents who have children who have transitioned. But it's true that he's had some bad comments on the other ones. So one of the things that we can all do, and this is important to know, is to go on to Amazon Prime and leave a review, because the good reviews will help it move up in the rankings. And although it's moved up on its own, in spite of some of these bad reviews, that's a huge thing that we can all do very easily. And so if you guys would like to do something to support Craig, that would be wonderful. And then also, I see on the sidebar here, there are so many people who are writing to you, and I don't know if you can see this, Craig. They're all saying, keep going. Please don't stop. Ken is saying, please continue. Don't stop these documentaries. They are such a help to us. 100% support. Craig, don't stop sharing with the world. We all support you, Craig. So anyway, light always shines in the dark.
Elizabeth, I wanted to say something. There was a point where I was actually questioning, moving on with it. And then, of course, my team talks to me in the mornings. I don't know where you guys get your meetings, but they tell me things. And they told me I can't stop. And that if you understand the movie industry, like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, there is no place for us. And I am building that brick by brick, building what I call the spirituality genre. It's a genre. Like there's comedy, romance, action. I want this genre because when you go to Netflix, like I just was talking to Jen Weigel in Chicago, she went to Netflix. Was it Netflix or Gaia? I can't remember which one. Well, I remember James Van Praga told me that he went to Netflix and they want to turn it into demons and haunted houses, and it's like real estate agents. If they can't put a comp on it, they don't understand it. So I am bound and determined to create this genre called spirituality. And that's my vision. And I want others to start making other content and other things. And let's make this a genre. And there was a point where Amazon had faith in spirituality. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I do know they were taken over by the Warner Brothers executives, and Amazon kind of changed a little bit. I don't know why, but they took it away. And it was something. Now, it's a cross between Christianity and spirituality, but I want to bring it back, and I want to, because it was pretty successful. They had a lot of people that were interested in it, but I want to change it to a 2.0, which is spirituality, and I want to build that genre. And I know some of our guests here have written books, and they found that their books get kind of lost in the shuffle because it's not a romance book or this or that. So we all have to stick together, support each other, and let's create the genre of spirituality.
Thank you. Yes. So Jeff Hollahan wrote, Craig, rarely is anything worthwhile easy. Keep up the great work. We love you and what you're doing. It's true. And then Lisa, well said, Jeff, Craig, the brightest lights take the most heat, brother, which is true. So anyway, I'm not sure if there are any specific questions that anyone has for Craig or for anyone else who's on here. If you do, maybe just post it right now so that we can. Do you see any other questions, Brian, that I've missed?
No, I
or,
don't. I don't see any other ones.
Okay, so otherwise, if anybody has anything that they want to say, then please let us know. Oh, Jeff Olson is saying, I take heat too. Hang in there. It simply means you're making a difference, which is true. And that's true. I mean, I don't think that any of us here probably hasn't taken heat, at least from a family member telling us that we're kind of crazy and that we don't know what we're talking about. But it doesn't matter because we know, and maybe they don't, and that's okay. And that's their journey, and our journey is a little different. And as Carol says, I wake up every day happy. I wake up every day excited about what I'm going to be doing with my day. And I know that when we all transition, we're going to have a line of kids that's a mile long ready to hug us. And I can't wait to see all of them. But for now, I feel like we have so much to do here, and there's so much happiness here and so many wonderful people here. I don't want to transition. I want to do as much as I can while I'm here. So anyway, thank you so much, Brian, for having this. I truly appreciate you holding this for us. Thank you, Craig, for being here and for talking to all of us. This has been wonderful. And thank you, all of you Shining Light parents, all of the cast, all of the people who were in this documentary, but also all of you who are a part of Helping Parents Heal. We wouldn't be Helping Parents Heal without all of you. And thank you for always remembering to turn around and offer your hand to the person behind you who's a little bit further back on the journey, because that is a beautiful way of expressing what all of us feel, that it is important as we move forward to remember those people who are still early on the journey. And thank you, and have a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and I'm sure I'll see all of you soon. Take
Thanks,
care.
Elizabeth.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
You
you.
guys are awesome. Thank you.
Hi, Clay. I saw Clay. He just got off, though, darn it. Anyway, it's wonderful to see everybody. And thank you, Brian, for sitting on here with all of us. This is so
Yes,
kind
thank you,
of
Brian.
Yeah, no
Brian,
problem.
you're amazing.
No problem.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes.
I will see everybody later.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.